I'm excited about the potential of Warm Welcome because it brings people together, it creates a space for social connection.
I'm excited to work at this warm space for this winter because I've seen the change it has in people. I see how people come in through the door, new to the space, scouring, shoulders down, but being here for a few weeks, how they get lifted, meeting new people, sharing experiences.
Before doing this, I sort of kept myself to myself. So before the pandemic, I was already on a lockdown mentality anyhow. But when the pandemic itself proper kicks in, well, that was my element. And I thought, let me come out and give something back to the community. And thankfully with this team, my confidence has grown, and here's me.
Don't be afraid to fail, and I think it's important to just try things out. It never hurts anybody.
I've always said, you know, this is not our drop-in, we just facilitate their space. It's the people of Redcliffe, this is their space, we just facilitate it for them.
When I come to this place every Tuesday, the staff are lovely here. They're always friendly, they're always smiling, and as you can see outside, everybody's got a good vibe. So that's what it's all about.
And it doesn't really matter what colour you are, because it's a multicultural place here right now, if you look around. They have people from all kind of culture, race, different part of the world. So it's working.
And as you can see, this place is alive, right? This place is buzzing with energy, and it's something that you wouldn't have had before if it didn't happen for the warm space. So for me, it's about how can we replicate that experience and bring it to new areas.
I've been coming for quite a while, and if you come regularly, you get to know people, and you know, you get that sense of a community.
Our strapline is that it's for the community, by the community. Everyone tonight was then here clearing up with us, you know, tidying it all up. This is not just us trying to serve people, it's us belonging together.
Good evening, everybody. Or should I say, welcome to this Rotary event around warm welcome spaces. Thank you very much for giving up your time. I'm Janine Birtwistle, and I'm the team lead for the Humanitarian Service Team Specialist Advisor Group. And we are delighted that we are going to be talking tonight about an amazing opportunity that Rotary has to really make a difference, even more than we're already doing, and celebrating what we are already doing in our communities. The programme for this evening is we're going to be talking about Rotary volunteering, networks, what we do, how can we add value to the Warm Welcome campaign, and also how can it add value to us within Rotary. We're going to be talking about the Warm Welcome Spaces initiative, the campaign, and we're going to be then looking at how we as Rotary people of action can make a difference. We're going to hear about the membership opportunities this programme throughout the winter and the relationships that we enhance, develop, and new relationships and community networks that we end up getting involved with can provide membership opportunities. The multiple times that we can be telling stories, helping Warm Welcome Spaces campaign to tell stories as the whole of the next 6 months goes. We'll be sharing with you the resources that will become available to you, where to go on our website, where to go on the Warm Welcome website, all the different things that we're going to share with you. You will have plenty of time for your questions. We will have a 20-minute question session for all of the speakers together. So whatever you ask, we will have an answer. And if we don't have the answer, we will find an answer for you. And then we will just look again at how can we work together to actually put this into action in line with our Rotary Action Plan, and leave you with a call to action and the next steps that you want to take in your communities to step up or to enhance what you're already doing or enhance the awareness of what you're already doing. Next slide, please. So the people that you're going to be hearing from this evening have got their lovely mugshots up here. So myself, Amanda Watkin, our General Secretary, Phil Dyer, who's the Specialist Advisor Team, the SAT Team Lead for Public Image, Robert Morris, who is the Chair of our Rotary Great Britain and Ireland Board, Steve Martin, who is the SAT Lead for Membership, and myself as the SAT Lead for Humanitarian Service. And the very special person that some of you might not yet know is David Barclay. David is the Warm Welcome Campaign Director, and we've been working very closely with David and his team last winter as well, but particularly in relation to this campaign, this winter, with Rotary as the volunteer partner for the campaign. So Amanda, can I leave it to you now to just give us a little bit of background about Rotary and why it's such a great opportunity for us to be that warm welcome volunteer partner?
Thank you very much, Janine, and good evening to everybody that's online today. And of course, a big hello to those that will be watching this after the event. So as you can see, we've got sort of volunteering, Rotary volunteering and networks is this topics that I'm going to be talking about. So I am delighted that we have a formal partnership with Warm Welcome Spaces. So Rotary International in Great Britain and Ireland is the volunteer partner for this campaign. And the campaign is immensely important to our communities. Society has struggled greatly over the last few years. Pre-COVID, clearly, you know, the situation was not ideal then, but when COVID came along, we found that there was a real significant hit, not only to the health and well-being of our population, but also to the mental well-being by being disconnected, by having to be set to one side, not able to mix with our family and our friends, not being able to go to work, not being able to go out and about in that sort of freedom. So having the opportunity to come back post-COVID and showcase how Rotary has maintained connection across communities is of paramount importance. The Warm Welcome campaign opportunity just enables us to do what we do already. You know, as Rotarians, we're out there, aren't we? Week in, week out, connecting with our communities, signposting people, facilitating opportunity. And what we're finding with the Warm Welcome Spaces is that we can bring our time and talent into this new area. We can either volunteer our time and actually get involved ourselves, actually pitch up, be that person that's there for the cup of tea and the chat, and the person that's going to listen, the person that's going to be interested in those individuals that are coming along for some support. But also we might be identifying spaces to our local communities. So we could be out there on our social media channels, connecting with all the people that we have ongoing relationships with, and ensuring that we raise the bar and that people know that there are warm welcome spaces in your community, be that in your village, in your town, in your cities. And so Rotary has a big part to play here. You know, we have a lot of experience in terms of understanding the power of volunteering. And what we are doing is providing the infrastructure support. So ensuring that when it comes to knowing how to be a good, in fact, a great volunteer, we can bring our skill sets. And I know a lot of work's gone on supporting David and his team in ensuring that the safeguarding, for example, requirements of this kind of campaign are maintained. Rotary members can drive traffic towards a space that's available, or they, as I say, they can actually pitch up and they can help themselves. So many of you may be aware that we have already the 3 unifying themes that Janine and her team have been promoting our service through. We have the rebuilding communities, we're looking at future generations, and of course we have health and well-being. And this particular opportunity of warm welcome spaces falls neatly into that health and well-being unifying theme. So Janine, as far as I am concerned, this is the partnership of the year. It's really great to be able to connect and make sure that everybody has the opportunity to look after one another, try and combat loneliness, try to make sure that people know that they are a part of the community, and to ensure that Rotary is the partner of choice going forward, not just for this year, but for the years to come. Winter comes every year. Loneliness is an ongoing endemic, really. So let's make sure that Rotary is there alongside our warm welcome colleagues as a partner opportunity for the long term, not just the short term. Janine, thank you so much for the opportunity to welcome our guests this evening and to speak directly with our Rotarians.
It's such a pleasure to be with you this evening. Thank you very much for having me. I thought I would just share briefly the story of where Warm Welcome came from as a campaign, what we learned from last winter, and why we're so excited about the partnership opportunity with Rotary for this coming winter. So the story of Warm Welcome started last summer, and it was a conversation between a number of civil society leaders, faith leaders, and the former Prime Minister, Gordon Brown. And Gordon Brown was talking about the rise in energy bills and what that was going to mean, particularly for families on low incomes. And he described plans that he was aware of from local government for what he called train station waiting room style heated spaces for people that were going to be unable to keep their homes warm during the winter. And you can imagine the leaders in that room were all horrified by that thought, but they also were energized by it because they thought, actually, we can do something a lot better than a train station waiting room. And so out of that meeting came this idea of warm welcome spaces. And that is places in communities where people can not just be warm, but can be welcomed and can take part in social activities. And so we started the campaign very rapidly on a shoestring last winter, and it was very much a coalition effort, lots of different organizations, including Rotary, getting involved. And what we saw took our breath away, really, went way beyond our expectations. We ended up with over 7,000 local organizations registering with us as warm welcome spaces all across the UK. And they hosted between them around 2.5 million visits last winter. And when we looked at the end of the winter at what difference those spaces had made, it was extraordinary, not just in terms of helping people who might otherwise have been cold, but actually the biggest difference that warm welcome spaces made was around social isolation and loneliness. And the number of people who said that before they came to the space, they always or often felt lonely. And then since coming to the space, that had changed. It was a really extraordinary statistic, from about 40% of guests before down to about 6% since coming to the spaces. And so as we reflected on that, and as we started to think about what we wanted to build for this coming winter, supporting spaces is at the heart of what we're trying to do as a national campaign. And one of the biggest areas where local groups said they needed support was around volunteers. How can they recruit volunteers? How can they develop them? How can they help those volunteers to enhance the spaces? And so we were just so thrilled to have this opportunity to work closely with you and with Rotary to really focus on that as our official kind of volunteering partner for this winter. And for me, that's really important for many reasons, but just two that I want to highlight. One is, when I go and see warm spaces, when I hear the stories of what they're doing, I'm always struck by the depth of impact that it makes to welcome someone well. And that's all about the volunteers. But I think you can never underestimate the difference that it makes to someone, particularly someone who maybe an older person, maybe someone who's an asylum seeker in the UK, could be all kinds of things, and they might not normally feel welcome. There was a quote from a lady last year who said, the great thing about this warm welcome space is they're not trying to get rid of you. This is a place you can come and no one's trying to get rid of you. And you just think, what must that be like if that's your normal experience? And so for Rotarians to get involved in warm spaces, to be connected to warm spaces and to help them to welcome people really well will make an enormous difference to a large number of people this winter. But the other thing that I'm really excited about is the skills that you will bring as volunteers. Welcoming is a crucial skill. Being kind, creating a space for people to belong is crucial. But I know that you will bring so many other skills to the table as well, whether that's about communication and spreading the word, whether it's about building relationships in the local community, helping the warm space to be connected to local schools or the local council or others, whether it's around providing signposting for people that need other kinds of help and support. There's a whole range of different volunteering opportunities in warm welcome spaces. And we're thrilled to think that lots of Rotarians this winter, as you did last winter, will get involved in the campaign. And we can't wait to see what a huge difference you're going to make. So thank you. And back to Janine.
One of the things I do want to emphasise is that this isn't just about people that are struggling because of the cost of living crisis. It's not just about people who are feeling isolated. This is spaces for anyone and for everyone, no matter what their age, no matter what their gender, what their race, what their culture, whatever. It is a space for people to feel they can go. And some of the stories from last year, there's one in particular that I can remember hearing about. It wasn't through Rotary, it was actually through the Warm Welcome and another organisation that was helping. And, you know, somebody didn't have the confidence to go into that space. They wanted to, but they didn't have the confidence. And then they went another time and they managed to get to the door and that was it. And they went another time and they managed to get over the door's threshold and greeted by someone with a big smile. And then that was it. And anyway, by the end of it, they were a volunteer, they were active, and the difference it made in that person is just phenomenal. And David and his colleagues, we hear that time and time again in differing ways. And we know that our RI president, our very own dear Gordon McAnally, has given 3 initiatives for this year for him, as far as what he's asking us as clubs to do. And that one of those is around mental health and well-being. Amanda has mentioned the unifying themes that we in humanitarian service are encouraging everybody to be looking at all that you do under any of these umbrellas, because I think that all of our Rotary service fits in with one of these, or maybe even more. And in fact, even this Warm Welcome Spaces, it could be helping future generations. It could be rebuilding lives, rebuilding communities. But this one is fundamentally under health and well-being. And if you could move the slide on, I like the point that Amanda made about us being able to help with great volunteers. It's fantastic. We all know what we get out of being a volunteer, and it doesn't mean you've got to go and volunteer in a space. So what are Rotary being asked to do? We've been helping with the input and design of volunteering materials. Some of the things that Amanda has said, some of the things that David has said. What do we want you to do? We want you to get involved, whether that's with a warm welcome space yourselves, whether it's you're going to use it as an opportunity to highlight what happens in your community and the warm welcome spaces that do operate, but that in your club, your area, your district, your cluster, these are the other amazing things that you're doing to help people through the winter months. Let's really use this to our advantage within Rotary, because we need to be seen as an organisation that is helping our communities to meet today's challenges and to build the people and our communities to meet tomorrow's. We don't know what those are going to be. So it's lots of opportunities. I just want to introduce Steve Martin, our membership SAT team lead, to just talk about some of the opportunities it gives around membership. Steve, over to you, please.
Thank you very much. And welcome everybody to our warm welcome webinar. Now membership, it is without doubt going to be a long and a lonely winter for some members of our community. A warm space and a cup of tea and a friendly face means so much to people, without doubt. And even without the cold weather, just the company can be a huge boost to those people that are living alone. At a time when we're being asked to focus on mental health as an organisation, this project will bring a welcome relief for so many. As we know, we all know that feeling isolated alone can have a huge effect on a person's mental health. One of the most asked questions of me in my role as the membership lead for Rotary Great Britain and Ireland is, how do we attract people to our club? Now, one of the many answers that you will have heard me say very often is that inviting people to a project is so much better than inviting them to a meeting. So warm welcome could be that project. This is absolutely the ideal scenario to bring people to a project that is already set up and already working in the community. Since I became aware of Warm Welcome, just driving around my local area, I've spotted 2 in just recent weeks that I didn't even know were there. Now we're being given this fantastic opportunity. And there's no question, we know that people want to volunteer. We saw that during the pandemic. And there are many people, they have volunteering in their hearts, and it's an excellent way of introducing people to volunteering at projects such as this. And of course, once they start working alongside Rotarians at a Warm Welcome Centre, we can ask them if they would be interested in maybe another great project, maybe ask for their help in planning the next project, maybe tell them your Rotary story over a cup of tea. Before you know it, you have a Rotarian on your hands. It really is quite that simple. We seem to have got out the way of asking people to join Rotary. Well, let's bring them along to a project. Let's get talking to them, tell them like our Rotary story, like I say. Our own lives are very, very busy. And as you rush around in your day-to-day life, so many people are sitting at home, afraid to turn on their heating. They simply can't afford it. A little bit of time spent in a warm space can recharge them. It can give them a boost so that they can get right through this gloomy weather that we have in the winter. So realistically, from our point of view, you will see on this webinar that we are all here together. You know, our whole team, specialist advisor team has got together. This is really, really important for our organization, and it's really important for those lonely people out there. So I would urge all clubs to dedicate some time at their next meeting to discuss how you could become involved. Maybe you could even set up a warm space in your community. Maybe just start a regular volunteer spot, a centre near to your club. Most of all, I hope that you will see this as an opportunity to signpost lonely people to a place that is safe and warm for them to go, and also to ask people from your community to join you in volunteering, and maybe even joining Rotary for future vital work in our communities and beyond. That is how big I see this project. Like I said before, this could be the project that brings more people to your club. I'd now like to hand over to our public image specialist advisor, Phil Dyer. Phil.
Thank you very much for that insight into the membership aspects of this project. I would like to talk about the benefits and the impact public image can have on this particular project. I'm going to take, I've got 3 bullet points here on the slides. I will just make them a little bit bigger for you to see. I think it's an incredible opportunity. The support centre in Ulster have produced some fabulous branding, working with Warm Spaces to get this branding together. And there is going to be an asset pack available of custom-made assets for you to use to promote this within your communities. And this fits really well with expanding our reach, which is part of the Rotary International Action Plan. So coupled with Warm Welcome Spaces branding and our own internationally, globally recognised branding, I think this is a custom-made opportunity. Steve mentions that this could be the one project that makes the difference to Rotary this winter. I also think that being aligned to Warm Welcome Spaces is an amazing opportunity for us to increasing our ability to adapt within our communities and working with partner organisations on this very sensitive subject, and something that can make all the difference to people's lives in the local communities that we work within. So we've got great branding. We're an international, globally recognised brand. We're working with a phenomenal partner who has great, vibrant branding and will work with us to make sure that this project is a success. But Rotary is all about storytelling. And it's the stories that we tell of the good that we're doing in our communities with Warm Welcome Spaces that will increase our impact. And those stories, those good news stories, however small they are
are what people want to hear that Rotary are doing. Rotary are supporting the people in our communities. And we can tell our stories on social media with, as you've probably heard me talk about before, a beginning and a middle and an end. So tell your story so that people know what you're doing, they know what you're trying to achieve, and they know what impact you have produced. But the most important part of the story is the follow-up. What happened to the people that you helped this winter? Where are they next summer, the following winter? And there'll be some phenomenal stories about the care that we gave people in our communities that we need to report back on and tell those good news stories. So tell your story by all means, beginning, middle and end, but it's the follow-up. It's the impact of our work using this phenomenally bright, exciting branding with our own globally recognized brand on the follow-up of the stories that we have achieved, the good work that we have done. I think it's a great opportunity for you to use brilliant, phenomenally good public image in order to make this project work, bring about a membership dividend, and also provide service in the communities that we operate in. That's what I've got to say from a public image perspective now. And now I would like to hand back to Janine, who's going to take it from here. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Phil. Please, if you have got any questions about anything at all to do with the Warm Welcome campaign and how we can use the Warm Welcome campaign to also highlight the other things that we're doing, please put them in the Q&A. We'll be coming to the panel session in just a moment. Couple of things that I just want to pick up on things that have been said and to re-emphasize is these spaces are opportunities to reach out to other organizations in our community that we might not have had contact with previously. Steve gave an example that just because he's now thinking about it, he's found 2 things operating in his area that he didn't even know existed. Well, I'm sure if we actually all do that, then we will actually find some of those spaces. Phil talks about the storytelling. It's also our story. What did you feel? What did you get from being involved? What did the volunteers help do? What did you end up with getting new members because they found that as a way to help? What difference did you make to those community organisations that are running spaces and really struggling? You know, Rotary has gone in and at their request, and they've helped with helping them find volunteers, or it's helped with setting up the administration because they've got the skills to run the space, but they haven't got the skills to do all the admin around it. And they just need some guidance and some direction to be given to them. And a lot of that information, you will find a massive amount of information, really brilliant information on the Warm Welcome website. You will also find Rotary specific information, which will be developed over the coming weeks, coming months, as we learn, as we hear from you. What do you need? What's not available? What's working well? What could we do differently? We will be keeping that members area around Warm Welcome live and vibrant, and with the information that you're asking for. Phil's mentioned the social media graphics, etc. There's also traditional media. Don't forget that. I know there's a lot less traditional media than there has been in the past, but actually it does still exist in communities in differing ways. Make sure you reach out to your traditional media, get them involved, tell them Rotary's story and what it's doing around this winter. Tell them what you're doing around the Warm Welcome spaces, but better still, get the people involved telling the story, but make sure Rotary's name is part of that story. Don't forget Rotary Radio. Rotary Radio UK would love to hear, what are you doing this winter? What are you doing in your local community? What difference are you making? We will also be developing what I call a digital notice board. And for those of you that have been actually reading your humanitarian service newsletter, a plug for that, please. It comes out on the 15th of the month to all the district officers relevant to humanitarian service. So that's community, vocational, international, youth, environment, resilience, and I'm sure I've forgotten a couple in there. But equally on the 15th of the month, the public image newsletter goes to the public image district leads, to the membership one, to the membership leads, etc., etc. And then on the 17th of the month, the service news goes out to every single Rotarian with a registered email. Every single one of you on the 17th of the month gets all of that information. You just click and you can see the key things. Please look in that newsletter, that service news, see what's there, because we want you to tell us your stories as well. So you will have seen, I hope, that we are, with the Ukraine theme opportunity team, we have created a digital notice board with the amazing help from the support centre. So in the members area on the Ukraine page, if you click on digital notice board, people can now put their asks and offers and tells. So what do you need help with to help in relation to Ukraine? What are you offering to help with? Well, we're going to do something like that for what we're doing around the winter and the warm welcome spaces. So watch out for the digital notice board. But I now want to go to the panel discussion, because there are so many of you that have asked questions. We've also had a number of questions in advance. So Phil, if you can light up all of us on the panel, including Robert Morris, our chair of the Rotary GB&I board, who hasn't yet spoken, but will be very much part of this later on. So the first question from tonight, and I think, David, if you could answer this one, how can I find warm spaces in my area? Is there a map available online?
That is a great question, and a very well-timed question, because as of today, yes, there is. If you go to warmwelcome.uk, which is the Warm Welcome website, then you'll be able to see a map on there, which we have just turned live today, which has got all of our registered Warm Welcome spaces on there on the map. And you can search that map based on where you're based or where you're interested in, and you could see all of the different Warm Welcome spaces. You can see what they're offering, and you can see when they are open. And so that's a great way of figuring out what's going on in your area. Very soon, i.e. next week, we will also be launching a second version of the map, which is specifically around volunteering. And that's when we'll be asking our Warm Welcome registered spaces if they are open to receiving direct offers from potential volunteers. And if they are, they'll also go onto that volunteering map. So you'll be able to go on there if you're particularly interested in volunteering, and you'll be able to make kind of direct contact and register your interest in volunteering at a local Warm Welcome space. So that functionality is in the works. But as of now, you can go on that Warm Welcome website and find out what's happening in your area. And spaces are signing up very rapidly. So even if you go and look in your area and there's not a huge amount going on just now, don't worry, because that number is ticking up all the time. And we're anticipating lots more spaces will register in the coming days and weeks.
Thanks very much, David. And also, you can make a difference in the number of spaces that register, because you can actually be talking to those spaces. So Steve, go and knock on the door of those 2 spaces you found and find out if they're registered, and do they know about the programme, and what's the benefits for them, what's the benefits for you. So you can help by getting spaces to register. Perhaps you actually run a space yourself once a month or once a week or whatever, whether it's a memory cafe or a breakfast club for mothers and young children that are or parents and young children that are needing breakfast before they go to school. And we know all the things around the importance of good warm food in people's stomachs for education purposes. So next question. So we've answered Alison's question about how do we find out what warm spaces are. So that's great. Thank you very much for that one. Eve Conway is asking, how is Warm Welcome funded? So I think there's 2 edges to that. And David, if I may come back to you on that.
Definitely, yeah. So there's 2 aspects to that. There's the core national campaign, and then there's funding for spaces. and we're trying to fundraise for both of those things. So we have raised money for the core campaign through a combination of some charitable trusts and foundations and some very generous individuals. And we've just about raised what we need for the campaign this winter. But there is an opportunity if on the Warm Welcome website for people to donate to the core cost of the campaign if they would like to. But we are also very keen to raise money to give to spaces, because we know that for lots of local organisations, it's not just a cost of living crisis, it's a cost of operating crisis, and their energy bills will have gone up significantly. You know, putting on hot meals, food inflation has been very high. So we are looking to try and give out small grants to registered Warm Welcome spaces, and we're working in partnership with Crowdfunder to help us to do that. And so again, there'll be some more that will come out very soon in that regard, but we'll be encouraging Warm Welcome spaces to set up Crowdfunder accounts, both because that's a good way for them to potentially raise money from people in their community, but also it creates an easy vehicle for us to then be able to top up that local fundraising with money that we're able to raise nationally. And we're talking to people like, you know, businesses, we're talking to government, we're talking to anyone that is interested in supporting people through this winter, because we think our network of, you know, diverse, local, organic, volunteer-led Warm Welcome spaces is a brilliant cause and an initiative to support.
Thanks very much for that, David. I'd also like to highlight something that Anne Sutcliffe has put as a Q&A, but really it's a statement, and I think it's terrific, that with Rotary funding from a local group, she has created a community group that hosts regular warm spaces in her area, providing a 2-course hot meal every Sunday afternoon. And she's very happy that if anybody wants to know how she did it, that she can have her details passed on. So I will ensure that that's part of the follow-up information that you get. So thank you for that. And, you know, also, Phil, could I just ask you on the funding? David has mentioned Crowdfunder in the context of the Warm Welcome spaces, but also we do some work around crowdfunding as well, don't we, through Rotary? Can you point us in the direction on that?
Yes, I might just defer to someone more learned in the room, Amanda, but we do have a relationship with Crowdfunder, and a gentleman called Steve Gale spearheads that particular relationship. And if it's the same Crowdfunder that David's talking about, then that relationship is already there. I'm going to just defer to Amanda now, because she probably knows a little bit more about the cogs behind the scenes on that one, if you don't mind, Amanda.
Sure, you've actually covered it perfectly well there, Phil. So yes, we used to have a relationship with Global Giving. Of some of our clubs may still be on that platform as well. Nothing wrong. Any of these crowdfunding platforms are available. We have a relationship with Crowdfunder, you're absolutely correct, but it doesn't matter where you go, there's a lot of different options out there for you. Steve Gale is definitely the person that we need to be contacting, and so if those that are online would like more information, then I'm going to direct them through to our office, probably via cds@rotarygbi.org, and I'm sure Janine will put that into the follow-up information. Thanks, Phil.
Yeah, I will indeed, Amanda. Thank you both for that. Amanda, before you turn your mic off permanently, there's another question that I would like to refer to you around, well, in fact, there's 2 questions I'd like to refer to you. One is, are Rotarians covered by Rotary Insurance as part of their involvement in this campaign? And I guess that depends on what they're doing and how they're doing it, but your thoughts on that. I'll come back to you with a second question in a moment.
That's great.
Do you want to do that one first?
Yeah, let's not nest them. Okay, yeah, so on the insurance side of things, if this is a Rotary run warm space, then yes, indeed, usual rules apply. We need a risk assessment, and some kind of project plan that sits behind it to ensure that we've done all that we can that is reasonable to mitigate risks and keep everybody safe. And then, yes, your Rotary insurance will cover you for running that space. Simple example, my own Rotary Club runs a memory cafe, and that is covered by Rotary insurance based on the fact that we have our risk assessments in place and know who our volunteers are, etc. If you are in somebody else's space, then you will be covered by their insurance. So have a conversation with whoever the person is that is leading that space to ensure that you've checked in and that they've got their risk assessment and that you're covered. So so it's a bit of common sense in there, but yes, Rotary insurance will be covering anything that is Rotary driven. So it's just who is the owner of the space. I don't mean literally who owns the building, who's owning the activity in that environment.
Thanks very much. Steve, can I just turn to you, please? It's a question that we received online a couple of days ago, and it's in relation to corporate social responsibility. Are you with me, Steve? Yeah, okay, great, thank you. So with corporate social responsibility, so I know, for instance, that in my community, there are local businesses that have a scheme for their staff to do volunteering, or they have funds available to do volunteering. What are we going to do to help clubs reach out to their local businesses around this and more generally?
Great question. Corporate responsibility, all local companies have them. Do you know, it could be the smallest little shop, it could be the largest company. There is, in terms of the larger companies and corporate responsibility and sort of corporate membership, if you like, there is going to be something coming out a little bit later, separate from this, in the not too distant future. But actually, the closest people to the ground and the closest people to these local businesses are the clubs themselves. And I always say this about public image as well. You know, if you want to get a local company involved, or they want to get involved, then speak to them. And there's absolutely no reason why we cannot be offering our local businesses a seat at the table. You know, we have our own type of corporate membership, and if anybody wants to speak about corporate membership, they only have to get in touch. That could be having one seat around the table for 2 or 3 members from one particular business. You know, it could be larger than that. There are various types that people can get involved in. So if they want to know more about that, then please get in touch with myself or any member of our team, and we can put them in the right direction. But there are definitely companies out there that want to get involved in volunteering, and we are the people to help them with that.
Thanks very much. And as you say, I believe that there is also money out there. And for some of these warm spaces, you know, it's not a space that has to be open 7 days a week, 10 hours a day. You know, it might be just once a month, or even once a fortnight, once every 2 months, once every 3 months. You know, this campaign is the whole of the winter. So it starts when the clocks go back this weekend, and it finishes when they go forward on the 31st of March, I believe, that they go forward. So we've got a long period. And also interesting, a number of the spaces from last winter actually carried on all through the summer, because there were other needs, there were other ways of needs is the wrong word. They were actually great ways of getting people in their community together. Two of the questions really relate to the safeguarding aspect, and this is something that Rotary has been working with Warm Welcome as well, and also some of your other partners, David, have been contributing to this, and Amanda, obviously safeguarding is really important from Rotary's perspective. You know, it's not that it's something different. Whatever we do within Rotary, whatever our service project is, there are things that we need to be doing to meet our insurance requirements, to make sure that we are doing safeguarding, to make sure that we are not breaching data protection legislation. They're all, on the face of it, scary, but they're not, because there are people that will help. And there's lots of training information available on the Warm Welcome website, and also through the Rotary GB&I website, through the Rotary Learning Centre, there's lots of information. and people that will help hold your hands. But Amanda and David, just a very quick thing from each of you, please, around safeguarding and where you see that.
Okay, so yeah, on the safeguarding front, you've covered pretty much everything there, Janine. From a Rotary perspective, it's super important that our volunteers are protected in the safeguarding space as well. So obviously not building relationships that could be seen to be stepping beyond the boundaries of the project and the support within that space. But taking common sense precautions, DBS check is not required because you are not working in isolation with vulnerable adults or children. So I think it is just, follow the practices that we have. Our website has some tremendous materials when it comes to compliance and safeguarding in particular, but also the health and safety aspects as well. So, don't be picking people up and taking them out in your car without somebody else being with you. So it's all of that sort of chaperoning, but mostly you're just going to be meeting people for a coffee and a chat in a nice, warm, welcoming space. So, David, anything to add to that?
So just to say that when groups register with the Warm Welcome campaign, they get access to a kind of resource hub on the Warm Welcome website. And some of that is about things like fundraising and volunteer management, but there's some specific resources in there as well about safeguarding, and that could be helpful. But it also sounds like you guys have got great resources there. So there's plenty of places for people to turn for advice and support on this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, one of the early discussions that we had around becoming the Warm Welcome volunteer partner was making sure that all of those I's were dotted and T's crossed, but in a way that was accessible, in a way that was clear enough, simple enough, but very important. And I think that's something that perhaps Rotary clubs could add value to their local community spaces, and perhaps they might need help with that side of things. Or equally, they might be the experts in it because they've got the people that have helped them with it, or they are, in fact, that's their profession or whatever. There may be a way of getting them to help you as well in what you do in other service projects. An interesting point here is really around other opportunities. And Susan has mentioned, I don't know what it is, a cry cut machine. I don't know if I've pronounced that right, but basically she's looking into the idea of buying fleece blankets in bulk, branding them with Rotary images and giving them out. Can we brand items ourselves? And Phil, I know that your team would be very pleased to talk to her about that, but I have to just say that from my experience looking after the Rotary End Polio Now shop is make sure that what you do, you're doing right. Make sure that any branding is not Rotary GB&I branding, but it's your Rotary club or your Rotary district or whatever. But, that's an example of the other ideas. So once we've got this asks and offers digital notice board in place for Rotary things for the Warm Welcome, that's the sort of place we can be sharing that, because there's some fantastic initiatives already out there around things like blankets, around coats, around warm clothing, and other initiatives. So thank you for that. Patsy Dodd raises a very important question, and I think from a time point of view, I think we're going to have to call it a day there. But is there a support group for Rotarians who volunteer to help and find some situations stressful? I have to say, from a humanitarian service team's point of view, that isn't something that we've actually considered. But what we are doing is that one of the theme opportunity teams that we are putting in place is actually around mental health and well-being. So I will make sure that that is something that's looked at there. And I think we need to talk about how the support centre may be able to assist in some of those aspects as well, Amanda. But again, David, there's information on the website as well for Warm Welcome around that sort of thing. And it is a real potential problem. I'd like to thank all of you for your questions. I'm sorry we haven't had time to answer them all. We will make sure that we do follow up on all of them. I will also make sure that you have the opportunity to share your ideas, and we want that. We don't just want your ideas from today. We want your ideas anytime that they come up. If you've got challenges, we want to know about those challenges, ideally with potential solutions that you've thought of. So it helps us as a starting point. And something I always say is, I'm not interested in feedback, I'm interested in feed forward. How can we improve? How can we overcome the challenges? And I think that's a really important thing. So thank you to the panel for that. And I would like now, please, to hand over to Robert Morris, our chair of Great Britain and Ireland Board, just for his thoughts on what he's heard so far and how this sits with our action plan.
Right, good evening, everybody, and thank you very much, Janine. Yes, I have the challenge of trying to pick up on a phenomenal range of discussion this evening. The partnership with Warm Welcome is something I very personally think is great partnership. It's Rotary thinks about working together with the community. But also this is an opportunity for us to be engaging the others in the community to actively get involved in something that at its basic is a very simple opportunity to help the community. Now, they were talking tonight about warm spaces and the fact that all are welcome. This isn't simply a project to help the homeless. Yes, it does help them, definitely, but it's also about helping everybody else in society that needs some support, be it just some company because they're isolated and feeling lonely, or just as you say, whatever your age range, just want to actually get out and meet other people in your community. Rotary in Great Britain and Ireland, I would say, is fully engaged with this programme and the project of working together with Warm Welcome. Everybody from the board of Rotary Great Britain and Ireland, our specialist advisors, of whom we've heard from two this evening. All the district governor cohorts have actually been talking about it in the meetings I've been party to with them. And of course, the staff at the support centre are actively helping Rotarians across the country to get involved in doing whatever they can for their community in this project. Phil very kindly touched on 3 of the 4 parts of the Rotary's International Action Plan. This evening he mentioned about increasing our ability to adapt. Well, this is a new project opportunity for some, and it possibly an extension of work we're doing with the community for others. We will definitely be increasing our impact by actually supporting those who are actually running these centres and warm places over the winter. Expanding our reach will definitely be getting out into the communities and getting involved. And I have to say congratulations between the two of them. Steve did pick up on the 4th part of the action plan about enhancing participant engagement, because think about getting your potential members along to a project. This is a great way to see a project where Rotary is proactively involved and get a potential member to actually work in that project and see the great work that Rotary does, and hopefully that becomes a member in due course. A quick reminder that the Learning Centre, Rotary International Learning Centre, does have courses on safeguarding. They're great, simple to actually watch and get some knowledge on that side if you're thinking of getting involved directly and personally in one of these projects. Please do share your stories through all the possible routes, social media, as well as the more traditional ways of getting out into your community and telling the story. And I'm going to finish by saying my personal takeaway is my club meeting next Monday. We're already involved with a homeless action in Barnet and with the Dementia Club. My takeaway is to go back to my club on Monday and actually say we should expand this and see if we can do something over the winter that is more directly related to working with the Warm Welcome concept and working with one of those groups. So thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you very much, Robert. So, Robert has indicated what he's going to do, and I think also for those initiatives that you're already doing in your club, Robert, is actually see if they're going to register as a warm welcome space, if there is opportunity for new people to go along to that space that those projects actually provide. So, what will your next action be? You've heard a lot tonight. This is only the introduction. There's a wealth of information. We will have a further follow-up session, probably thinking about the time of year. I know that December is a manically busy time for many, many of us, both personally and through our Rotary service and through our work. So perhaps it will be in January. But in the meantime, anything that you want to ask, please stay connected with each other in your club, in your AG group, your assistant governor group, in your district, in your cluster. Stay together with each other, share what's working, how that you may be able to help someone else, how they may be able to help you. Stay connected with the spaces, stay connected with your community and what's going on. You know, it's a great opportunity to reach out to organizations and groups that you haven't connected with previously. And please stay connected with us. Share your stories with each other, share your stories with us. We'll also be wanting to identify some stories that Warm Welcome can also utilise. It's a joint partnership. We need to be working and supporting each other. Share your challenges, suggest your solutions, both for what is needed this this winter, so this campaign, this next 6 months, and any thoughts you've got on any things that could be improved, changed, adapted for next year going forward and next winter. So Phil, I know that you're going to leave us with a closing video. I do want you to really go away feeling that you can make a difference. And I want to thank you for making a difference. We will be actually sending you the links to the 2 website areas. And we will also be making sure that we keep you fed with information. Thank you very much for being here this evening. Please go away and share what you've learned, get others involved, get others excited to be part of this initiative. Let's use this opportunity to make Rotary very relevant and make sure that our communities know it's very relevant and it's the organisation to choose to get involved with. And that might just be networking with what they're already doing. Thank you for what you're doing. And Phil, over to you for the closing video. Thanks very much.
Rotary GB&I is delighted to be the volunteer partner for the Warm Welcome Spaces winter campaign.
Rotary is stepping up to support the millions of people living in poverty and experiencing isolation this winter.
Warm Welcome Spaces are provided by the community for the community.
In the face of the ongoing cost of living crisis and loneliness epidemic, spaces of every shape and size are opening their doors to offer support, activities and a warm welcome to those in need.
This includes community centres, libraries, cafes, art centres, faith venues, local businesses and more.
Rotary clubs are at the heart of our communities.
You can think about running or volunteering at a space in your area.
Or use your club's community connections to promote the Warm Spaces network.
So why not discover how you can be part of the collective movement, helping thousands of people stay warm and connected this winter.
Visit rotarygbi.org/members/warm welcome to find out more.